Hey guys, Ezra here and welcome back to another Ezra review. And on today's review, I want to review a movie called The Killer by John Woo. This is the movie released in 1989. And the reason why I decided to review this movie now is because there is an American remake that is about to be released on Peacock, also with the same title, The Killers, that stars Natalie Emmanuel, I think, and then Omar Sy as the killer and the cop character. And it was directed by John Woo itself, so I thought it would be a good idea to review the original Killer movie, because I think this movie is such an amazing movie that has a lot of legacy on it, and obviously leading up to the remake, which I don't think the remake will live up to the original, because it's such a different production crew in a way, and the time also that got released was so different, but I guess we'll see. Hopefully the remake is good enough, but before we get to that, and on August 23, I want to review this original movie first, So this movie was released in 1989, and it stars Chowyunfat, Danny Lee, and Sally Ye as one of the main characters, and Chowyunfat, he plays Ah Jung, which is the killer or like the assassin in this movie, and Danny Lee plays Detective Lee Ying, which is again basically his partner in a way in the movie, and then Sally Ye plays Jenny, which is a nightclub singer that was blinded by Ah Jung during a shootout, and this movie, again, like I said before, has a lot of influence on the future movies, that features gun, in a way, because I think the way John Woo directed the action sequences using a gun, it's like very cheesy and comical in a way, but at the same time, really, really cool. Like I think it's a style of John Woo that the main character has two guns and just like keeps shooting at everybody, at the enemy, and emptying the clips from the gun. And sometimes the guy just like keeps shooting, no matter how many amounts of bullet that the guy was shooting. Like it doesn't matter because like, it's way more fun that way. And I think the one thing that makes me really appreciate about this movie is that because this movie actually influenced the John Wick movie, because I mean John Wick has several influences, I guess it has took some inspiration from several movies, but The Killer is one of the movies that was named by the filmmaker of John Wick, and you know what, I can see why, because before we get John Wick, we got John Woo and Chow Yun Fat, that basically carried this action genre in a way that has a use using a lot of guns, so I think it's a really stylized action in a way, and it's really, really cool, but besides that, I feel like the story of the movie itself was actually really, really good, because again, you got this killer named Ah Jong that decided to retire after one final job, but during a shootout he accidentally shot a young nightclub singer, which is Jenny, and then Ajo and Jenny basically they fall in love with each other, but the relationship become complicated, because Ajo basically wasn't allowed to leave by the Hong Kong triads, because there is a risk that the Hong Kong leader said that, well, if he leaves, then there is a huge potential that he might leak my identity to the authorities, and he doesn't want that, so that's why he wants Arjun to stay working for the triad, or Arjun needs to be put down or killed, and it becomes such an interesting character itself, because Arjun is not exactly a cold-blooded killer, like even though that the movie is called The Killer, but it's not exactly a cold-blooded killer that just kill everybody for no reason. Like he has a reason to kill sometimes, or at least like being reasonable enough, to help the people around him, and that's pretty much becomes his story here, that he needs to either finish the job, basically finishing the Hong Kong trial first before he went away with Jenny, also, but at the same time, he also has another choice that maybe he should just live this life with Jenny, but at the same time there is a conflict with that, because there is this other cop detective character, again played by Danny Lee, that basically hunting down this assassin, and I do like the introduction as well, because I think Ajung gets introduced in the nightclub sequence, which I think is a good sequence, and the detective was introduced in like an undercover mission, which I think again featuring another cool shootout, and you can tell he's also really frustrated by the I guess their superior, in the police department in a way, and it becomes like an interesting dynamic between the two characters, because like you got Ah Jong that was basically pissed off at his superior, the Hong Kong triad leader in a way, and then you got Detective Ying here who also super pissed at his own superior, so I think that's like a really just a two side from the same coin in a way, like just a different authority in a way, but it's like pretty much the same in a way, you know. And I think that that makes them a really good partner in the movie, you know. You also got this one character named Fung Se, I think, played by Chu Kong, basically Ah Jung's oldest friend, and I guess you could say the manager, you know. And again, because Fung Se and Ah Jung was pretty close, Ah Jung actually asked Fung Se to, hey, can you help me out to, you know, get me out of this country, you know, because I want to leave behind this assassin's life, and I want to live a peaceful life with Jenny, you know, because again, Jenny actually accidentally got shot in the eyes, you know, so he's like just like turning blind slowly, you know. So and obviously Ajo wants to help that, you know. But obviously we also have another conflict here where Fung Se actually has to choose between saving his best friend or following the leader of the triads, you know, because again, when you are working for the triad, there's basically have it's like you could make a choice, but there's gonna be a big consequences in the along the way, you know. You see Ajum basically tasked to do one more job, you know, in order to leave this country, you know, Hong Kong. And he was tasked to kill this, I guess, a prime minister, or like, or at least like a political figure, you know, like it's a famous person essentially, you know, in this like festival. And he manages to do that, you know. But Detective Lee Ying was actually there on the scene, you know, and he notices that Ajun was actually running away in a boat, you know. So there is this cool boat chasing, you know, and you know, surprise, surprise, the triad decided to betray Ajong, you know, which is like, okay, sure, you know, we all see that coming, right? But there was like a child that was caught in a crossfire, you know, so Ajong decided to save this child. You get to see a stand-up between Detective Lee Ying and Ajong itself on the hospital. And obviously, Ajong again doesn't kill anybody, and this is what Detective Ying basically said that, oh, like we're not dealing with like he's like a professional assassin, but it's not exactly a cold-blooded killer, because that much is obvious because Ajong saved a child, you know. That's where he came to that realization, you know. But after that, you know, Ajong basically asking Fuseng that, hey, like I finished the job, you know, can I have my money now so I can leave the country? But it was revealed that Fuseng has this carrying out this order to kill Ajong, you know, because he wants, because again, Ajong was his best friend, so he doesn't want to try to hurt him, you know. So he decided to, okay, I'm gonna kill Ajong myself, you know, I'm gonna finish this job myself. And I absolutely love this moment, you know, because I think chowyunfat's acting in this moment was super, is great, you know, because like you can tell that he's super disappointed on his manager or, you know, best friends, you know, because like he actually taking an order from the trial leader, you know, but it was revealed that the gun was empty because he managed to point out a gun to Ajong, you know, and it was, oh, it's empty, you know, and there is no money on the suitcase, you know, it was just a paper. And during this scenes, you know, we get to see again another cool action sequence, you know, where you get to see a bunch of trials like breaking in Ajong's apartment, you know, and then he managed to shoot pretty much all of them, you know, and again emptying a clip to like a one guy, which is just like super over the top. But it's also like really, really cool. I absolutely love this style of the action sequence, you know. I think it's great, you know. But after this, you know, Ajong decided to leave Fusang, you know, because obviously he felt betrayed, you know. And after this, we get to see Ajong try to visit Jenny, you know, and then but on that moment, Detective Lee Ying actually also there on the same spot, and we get to see some funny scenes, you know, where because Jenny is like basically blind at this point, you know, so she doesn't know about this. There is like or like these two are actually assassin and cop pointing gun at each other, you know, because like again they have to stay sharp at each other, right? And then it's really funny with the way they try to convince Jenny, like, oh, like this man right here, you know, is actually my childhood friend, you know. We came from the same village, you know. We play soccer together. Isn't that cool? You know, like, and it's just like super funny the way the scene was directed, you know. But Ajo managed to fool, I guess he managed to fool Jenny, you know, and also fooling the cops as well, you know, because he managed to escape from the apartment. But after this, Detective Lee Ying decided to reveal to Jenny that, you know, that Ajong are basically an assassin, you know. And obviously at first Jenny didn't believe that, you know, because Ajong seems to be really caring for her, you know. But it was revealed to her that, oh, Ajong is the one that was responsible for basically hurting your eyes, you know. It was, again, it was accidental, but he was responsible for that, you know. And at first the cop decided to asking Jenny to, hey, like, we need your help so we can capture the guy, you know. And at this moment basically we get to see Ajun try to kill the triad leader in a way, because we get to see Fung Seng again, getting basically getting beaten by the Hong Kong triad leader, because obviously he was super disappointed that he didn't finish the job, and I think he got really lucky because basically hold like a high position on the triad itself, and was actually really well respected, and this triad leader named Wong Hoi, played by Xing Fui On, like he was he was obviously super pissed, but at this moment Ajo managed to shoot Wong Hoi, I think, a couple of times, but he survived, and then we get to see some chase sequence, on the basement, I guess you could say that, and then some shootout happens, but Ajong and Feng Se managed to get away, and then these two decide to reconcile, and they decide to let's help each other, because we are friends, for a long time. And at this moment, we get to see the detective and Jenny try to work together to capture Ajong, But after some moment, Jenny decided to actually, I'm not gonna let the cops to capture Ajong. She actually tried to warn Ajong to get away from the airport, from the places that they're going to meet, because there's gonna be a bunch of cops that was there to capture him, So she tries to warn. I have this one clever idea, where the cops or the detective Li Ying managed to see someone looks like Ajong. They basically grabbed Jenny, but it was revealed to be Fung Se, because Ajong was actually also in disguise, and he and Jenny managed to get away from the cops, and yeah, I think that's really cool and interesting that Jenny decided to forgive Jung, even though she found out that he was an assassin. He actually the one who was responsible for blinding her, but she decided to, I'm gonna side with Jung, I want to live the rest of my life with Jung because he is a nice guy, And even again, the movie makes it clear that even though he was an assassin, he's not a cold-blooded killer. He was actually a nice guy deep down, At one point, when they tried to follow Fung Se, try to tell where Ajong was, his partner Sergeant Sang Ye, played by Kenneth Sung, was actually shot, and he actually died or passed away in a hospital. So obviously this really make Detective Ying really furious, and he decided to follow the lead left by his partner, and that's where he located Ajong and Jenny inside a beach house, I think, owned by Fung Se. And at this moment, we get to see Jenny try to again stand up to Jung, and there is this one really interesting moment, I guess, or like really intense moment where Jenny grabs a gun and aiming it at Detective Ying, but then again she was blind, right? So she's just like aiming at the thin air, but she shot the gun. And it was like surprising to me and surprising to the characters in the movie as well, because Jenny is willing to kill a cop in order to save Jung's life, which is just like, wow, like holy shit, like I did not see that coming. That moment really surprised me, and I think that's a really shocking moment for the character as well. But after this, we get to see the triad again. We get to see another cool shootout, because I think this is like one of the coolest shootout in the movie. There's two scenes, like this scene in the beach house and the last scene in the church, But on the beach house, there is a bunch of triads like basically surrounding them, and this is where we get to see Detective Ying and Ajong decide to work together as a team to get Jenny out and themselves, so they don't get killed by the triad, and we get to see a lot of gore, a lot of shootout that happens, a lot of cool moment where Ajong tried to evade some of the shot, and able to use some, again, emptying the clips towards everybody that came after him, and it's just like super cool to see that, has a plan to get to the car, so they can get away from the triad killers, and they managed just to do that, after some cool explosion, that happens in the car, and I think this is one of the reasons why I love the Hong Kong movies, from the 80s and the 90s, because they are all practical effects, they're doing this for real. Like the stunt that was done in all of the action movie is actually really cool, and it's actually a real stunt moment, it wasn't exactly use any CGI or visual effects, because obviously those technology hasn't existed back in the day. The real stunt just makes the action more authentic, in my opinion, and obviously more immersive in a way, so that's really cool, but yeah, they managed to get away, and this is where we get to see Ajong and Detective Yun try to reconcile, or I guess like try to work together as a team, because they figure out that they're not so different from each other, and Detective Yun basically decided, okay, you know what, you want to escape the country with Jenny, I'll support you on that, and then they go to the church, we get to see some white dove, which is like the style of John Woo in a way. And I think it's interesting that Ajung's character actually go to the church a lot, showing that he's actually, again, regretting his action and trying to, I guess you could say, beg for forgiveness maybe, and I think the philosophy in this sequence is that, well, on a church, God actually welcoming everybody, no matter if you are a good guy or like the worst bad guy ever, God is are always welcoming towards everybody. And John will even mention this on his one of the interview, and why he decided to include these church scenes, for John's character, even though he was an assassin, so I think that's a really, really cool philosophy to have there, or like I said, maybe philosophy wasn't the right word, but it's a really cool idea to have in the movie itself, to make the character kinda religious in some aspect, so I think that's interesting. So while they were waiting for Fung Se to come back with the money, we get to see Fung Se basically again try to acquire the money, but he was actually injured in the process, like a lot, but he managed to get away with the skins of his teeth, and then we get to see the Wong Hoi, which is the trial leader. Again, he got shot a couple of times in this movie, and he's still alive. Like, this man is a fucking beast, man. Like, holy shit, like, he got shot a couple of times, and he's like, okay, I got shot, but get a car, because we're gonna go after this guy right here, to the church. It's like, damn, dude, like, how many shots can you take, man? Like, holy shit, dude. He's still standing and still using a gun to kills everybody, and still have a huge adrenaline in his body. Like, god damn, dude, but anyway, again, like I said before, Fu Se managed to get away, and he gets to the church, and then he hands the money to Ah Jong, but sadly Fu Se was killed by one of the tries. He got shot in the back, and he has this one last conversation, because Wong Hoi basically called Fung Se a dog, a pet, you're nothing, you're not a human, and then his last line was asking Ajun, am I a dog, and then Ajun said, no, you're not a dog, you're a human, you're my friend, so, and he sadly passed away at that moment, and then obviously this makes Ajung super pissed, and then decide to shoot the triad, a bunch of them, and the church are getting destroyed a lot, and we get to see Detective Yun again helping Ajung one more time, using a bunch of guns. Yet there's a bunch of cool stunts that happen in this movie, again, I feel like describing an action in this John movie is like, yeah, they're cool, they're chaotic, there are chaos everywhere, there is many practical stunts, obviously, and it's just like super, super cool. And that's why I absolutely love the 80s and 90s John Woo movies, because I think they're very stylized and they're very chaotic, like there is chaos everywhere in the scenes, no matter where you look, and then there's a bunch of guys just getting shot left and right, but I found it like to be interesting that I guess like if the main guy got shot once, that's where the movie gets serious and intense, but at the same time, because he was so stylized that, well, like Ajun gets shot, but he's still able to get up and then grab a gun and still kills a bunch of guys, and it's just like, damn, okay, that's really cool, and after this, we get to see we get to the climax of the shootout, we get to see Wong Hoi basically holding Jenny hostage, and then at one point, Detective Young and Arjun decide again to basically be careful to not shoot Jenny or to do anything stupid, And at one point, Detective Ying and Arjun decide to drop their gun, but Arjun managed to grab this gun from Detective Young's like sidearm, you could say that, and then shoot Wong Hoi, But then again, this man is still alive, no matter how many times he got shot, man. Like, it's insane. And during the shootout with Arjun and Wong Hoi managed to blind Ajong, which that really surprised me when I first watched it. Like, oh my god, dude! Like, Jenny is blind and now he is blind as well, And during this moment, the cops arrive, finally, and then we get to see Detective Ying get super pissed, because we get to see a really sad scene in my opinion. We get to see Ajong and Jenny try to find each other, but Ajong sadly died from bleeding out from his eyes, and Jenny was again they aren't able to find each other at their very last moment, I think Jenny is still alive, obviously, but Ajong sadly dies, and at this moment, Wong Ho decides to surrender himself to the police, like try to basically, hey, if you guys arrest me, I will work together, I will give you guys as many information as possible, but Detective Ying was super pissed that Ajong, his friend, got killed, so he decided to execute Wong Ho at that very moment, and I think obviously there's like, you shouldn't do that, because obviously when someone surrenders himself, that you need to arrest them, but basically Detective Ying breaking the law here by killing Wong Hoi, on cold-blooded way, I guess not cold-blooded way, but in a justice way, you could say that, but yeah, it's a really sad ending, because I feel like Ah Jong are just trying to leave behind his assassin's life, and he finally found a second chance in his life with Jenny and tried to build a new life with her, but sadly that didn't happen, and at the very last moment, he didn't even have a warm moment with Jenny at the end, because again he is blind and he's bleeding out, and then the movie kind of ends with Arjun trying to play the harmonica, and looking at the church, before he dies, before he passed away, So I think that's why The Killer is a really cool movie, and in the movie that has a lot of influence on the future action movie like John Wick, because like again, the way John Woo written and directed this movie was really really cool, and the characters are really likable, and you could understand their side of stories really really well, and yeah, that ending makes me really sad, because I really wish that Arjun could get away with Jenny, because I didn't think that the movie would get a bad ending, So I feel like so far the only good ending on the John Woo movie, that the four classic John Woo movie like A Better Tomorrow, this movie The Killer, and then Bullet in the Head, doesn't necessarily stars chowyunfat, but stars Tony Leung, as the main character, and then the last one is Hard Boil, right? Hard Boil is the only John Woo movie that has a good ending. The rest of them are tragic as fuck, dude. Like holy hell, man. Like my god, But yeah, that was a great movie, man. Again, I love the characters, I love the writing, I love the directing, the cinematography, the practical stunt they did, the stylized action, the chaotic action in a way. And it's just like the uses of gun and bullets, It's just like so many bullets that got fired in this movie, and it's just insane, And it's super bloody as well, because I really, really love, and yeah, I really, really love this movie, So I guess at this point, I'm just gonna have to wait until the US, the American remake, they got released on Peacock on August 23rd, Like I guess we have to wait and see if this movie actually live up to the original Killer, because I don't think so. To be honest, right here, I'm gonna make an assumption that I don't think the American remake is gonna be as good as the 1989 Killer, because I think there is no way you could match this type of storytelling, in my opinion, because I think the American remake might have some cool action, because again it was directed by John Woo, but I don't think the story and the character will hit the same way as the original Killer, So yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see about that until the movie got released on August 23rd, So yeah, let me know guys in the comment section below, what do you guys think about The Killer, is this your favorite John Woo movie, what is your favorite John Woo movie, and of course, what is your favorite action sequence in the movie, guys, let me know all that in the comment section below. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this review, then make sure guys shoot that subscribe and like button, guys, share the videos, the usual stuff. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Stay tuned for that the American remake review, on August 23rd, which is on Friday. So stay tuned for that review, guys. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll see you guys in the next one then. Bye.